Hey Ed, how you doing?
Good day, good day. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I was wondering what the screen would look like when you came on.
Looked like me, didn't it?
Oh yeah, well, you switched over to special Ed Fox jokes, dad jokes. Okay.
Yeah, nothing but dad jokes on the TikTok channel. You know, as a guy that's just turned 54, my kids were asking me, like, Dad, when are you going to slow down? I'm like, hell no, I ain't slowing down. I'm just getting started, man.
Yeah,
You know, so
54 is not. You can't slow down at 54.
right, exactly. So I got a bunch of these different backgrounds. I've written a couple of dad joke books, and I said, oh, what do you guys know about TikTok? And they're like, oh, Dad, stay away from TikTok. And I'm like, you know, I'm a contrary kind of guy,
Oh,
contrarian, and as
that's all
soon
they
as
had to
they
do.
right, as soon as they said stay away from TikTok, I'm like, oh, I better learn this. So I took on TikTok, and I got like 300 dad joke videos up there now promoting my books and
Well,
having fun.
I saw your website. My favorite thing was the reviews, where you click on the reviews and I'm recording already, by the way.
Oh, okay, yep.
And the reviews for Ed's website. I think you have four children. Is that right?
I have uh, I have three kids, three grown kids, but I have two that I've adopted, kind of thing. One's an Afghani refugee that helped U.S. Special Forces, and
Okay.
his name's Archie. And one's an Indian exchange student that came over and went to high school when we lived in Kansas. And
Oh,
so I kind of say I have five kids, three
yeah.
biological and two just by association.
What I got from that, all of them all had the same review. At age 15, they all said, "Dad, you're wrong."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That was what I put on that one. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. When my son Jason saw that, he said, "Dad, why'd you do that?" I said, "Because it's true. That's what you told me at 15."
That was pretty funny. Yeah, my son is 37 now, I think, and he still frequently tells me that I'm wrong. But
Yeah,
I know that now, so it doesn't really it
right.
doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, yeah. So mine are 30. My biological kids, Jason's 30, Brandon's 26, Ashlyn's 23.
Hmm.
Archie, I think, has just hit 30, and Prabjeet has just hit 30 as well. So
Well, that's pretty cool. Now you may have noticed, I'm talking to the audience that Ed has a unique accent for somebody who lives in Tennessee. Uh, Ed, can you tell us a little bit about where you're from and where you live now and how that came about?
sure. So I currently live in Franklin, Tennessee, and will be for a few years yet. But I tell people I'm from the deep South, Southern Hemisphere, right? I hear you. You know, you're in Alabama, so I always hear I'm from LA. Lower Alabama is a
Right.
that's
Right.
a valid L. So I say that about the same thing about Australia. I'm from the deep South. I'm a true Southern accent from the Southern Hemisphere. Born and raised in Australia. I was minding my own business in a duty free store. If you're an international traveler in a duty free store, you can go in and you can purchase stuff tax free. In
Mhm.
1989, and this girl walks in. She's 5 foot nothing, long black hair down past her butt, and she tilts her head at me and she says, "You spent so long flirting with them New Zealand girls that I think you made me miss my bus for dinner. And even if you didn't, you should take me out." And I look around backwards and forwards, and I sort of whisper to her, "I've heard of pushy American women. Now I've met one." I said, "I might sound like Mel Gibson, but I sure don't look like him." Back in 1989, Mel Gibson was hot, right?
Right.
Supposedly. I mean, I wouldn't know, but supposedly.
You
And she goes, "No, but you're funny." I said, "Funny peculiar or funny ha-ha?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, I'll take you out." And as of last February, we've been married 31 years.
there you
So
go.
kind of worked out. So I ended up coming over to Kansas. We lived in Kansas for 30 years.
Okay.
As you know, I own a Barter exchange in Kansas called, it's a trade bank franchise.
Right.
And when the trade bank franchise became available in Nashville during COVID in 2020, I asked my wife, I said, "Hey, you had enough of Kansas?" I said, "How about we move to where there's some hills and some trees and stuff, and not just cattle, wheat, corn, and wind farms?" And she
Mhm.
goes, "Honey, I'll follow you anywhere." I'm like, most wonderful wife in the world. That's why she gets that name.
Yeah, that's right. I noticed that. I noticed that. I didn't know if that was something that she had to qualify for, or you just.
She let me build my own private cricket field in my backyard in Kansas, right? So I hosted cricket tournaments. Cricket's bat and ball sport. We're not chasing after little bugs or collecting cell phones. Cricket, British baseball. And
Right.
so big cricket fan I am, and grew up playing cricket, watching the Aussies even when they sucked, when everybody else in the world was beating them. So in 2002, we bought a block of land, bought 15 acres just south of Wichita downtown. And about 15 minutes from downtown, and I built my own private cricket field, and we hosted cricket tournaments from 2004 through to 2019.
Okay.
From all over the country, and actually some teams came from over the. We had the UK military team came in and played us in 2010 or something. But we've hosted a lot of games, and we played in a league between Tulsa, Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Lawton, Oklahoma, Wichita, Kansas, and Stillwater, Oklahoma. Okay. And so we played with those guys as well. A lot of Indians, Pakistanis, Sri Lankans, Bangladeshis. So she got the most wonderful wife in the world after she not only let me build the cricket field, she learned how to make Indian curries, and she also learned how to score a cricket game. Now, this is a Kansas girl, born and bred. Randy, what chance would you have of knowing how to score a cricket game?
I do not. I was just going to say,
exactly.
How big is a cricket field? I have no.
A cricket field is 4 baseball fields back to back. I'm glad you asked.
Wow.
For those of you watching this, did they get to watch this on YouTube and Facebook too?
They will, yeah.
Okay, so this is the cricket field we built.
Oh, cool.
We're playing on that field right now. You can see as the drone flies overhead. So it's about 4 baseball fields back to back, and you can hit the ball in any direction. Then we have a little inner circle. You want to try, you've got to keep so many fielders within that inner circle in the format we play. So that's 10 of my 15 acres that I built the cricket field on.
Beautiful property. 10 acres. Wow.
Yeah, that's 10 acres. So the cricket field takes up about 5.
Okay.
And then we have a couple of shooting ranges actually back there. There's one shooting range, and then there's another one somewhere else. So
if you're listening to the podcast, like most of the folks do, I just want to let you know that this episode will be available on our YouTube channel too, so you can go and see what Ed is talking about, because he's actually showing us his cricket field in the background. And the other thing is that you are also going to be able to see 2 extremely handsome men. It's just amazing. It'll be worth your while just to do that. So
I agree.
So you've been in Nashville for about 2 years, is that?
We lived in Bowling Green, Kentucky, of all places, for the first year because my wife worked for a company north of Bowling Green.
Oh, okay.
And she finally left that company and said, "Look, we need to get somewhere where we can build our trade bank business, which is a business-to-business barter exchange." I know you've talked a lot about barter on this, both iTex and Trade Bank, so both great companies. And I happen to be a Trade Bank franchisee. So like I like to say, your business may be missing out without your barter glasses on. Sometimes you got to put those on to get an idea of where all that money is that you're missing out on. So we moved to Nashville and bought the Trade Bank franchise. Well, we moved to Bowling Green in July of 2020. And then just actually last Monday, we moved to Franklin, Tennessee, just so we could get in and really get in the nitty gritty and start to excite the members and build more membership.
Great place. Franklin's a beautiful town. And
it is. It's gorgeous.
I've played some music up there in the past, and it's a great place to be located. And I'm so glad that you made it through the tornadoes last week too.
It skipped over us. Like as we were moving out of the apartments, three U-Haul trucks were moving in. We said, like, "What's the deal?" And they're like, "Oh, we lived over the road, and we don't have an apartment anymore." So yeah, it's terrible what happened there, and the candle factory and stuff. So being from Kansas for 30 years, those tornadoes are always on our back door. We've come close multiple times, but thankfully,
such a crazy thing the way they can jump here and there. I know there's a partner of mine and I have built some houses and done some real estate, and there's one particular development here that beautiful houses, and it's almost like the tornado just came in and picked up one house and another house and then left everything else alone. It's pretty scary, and we're praying for all the folks up there. That's terrible stuff. I saw that you had marked yourself safe. I was glad to see that, but I didn't realize you were living in Bowling Green up until that time.
Right. Yep.
And so, how long have you lived? How long have you owned the Trade Bank franchise in Wichita?
Since 2013, I was a client, as most trade bank franchisees, because you start out not understanding managed barter. I mean, we've all bartered in amongst ourselves. And, one of the things I loved about your podcast, Randy, is that, I wasn't really that interested in flipping cars, because if I started another business, my wife would kill me. I've got about 15. So, but I just loved what you were teaching people and the different guests that you have on talking about different tools. So I love that. And I know you talked about barter multiple times, so we understand that barter is powerful, but I didn't really know how to use managed barter. And so I was a franchisee for another business called the Coffee News, which is a little brown restaurant reader.
Right.
And I had 7 franchises of that, and I was only half full.
Mm-hmm.
And so the trade bank guy came to me. I signed up with another barter company called IMS.
Mm-hmm.
And then the trade bank guy and IMS, great company, great people, but it didn't really work for me because they had so many other advertising companies that for me to get any extra business, I was fighting all the same guys I was fighting for cash anyway. Mm-hmm. And so the trade bank guy came to me, he said, look, I only have 2 or 3 advertisers. I can guarantee you that we'll bring you more money than mm-hmm. anywhere else. And I'm like, nah. And he's like, look, it's a money back guarantee. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, the other company, no offense to them, they didn't give me money back guarantee. Mm-hmm. I trust you, John. I just don't trust your product. So anyway, I get in and he brings me 26 grand the first year. Now that's not normal. Mm-hmm. I found since buying it, you bring about 5 to 7 grand, depending on the business. Restaurants, you can bring 20, 30, 40, 50, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So I've owned that. I became a member in like October of 2012, and then I bought it in 2013, about mm-hmm. June, July. And we took it from number 13 in the nation to number 2.
There you go.
So, yeah, pretty good.
And you, the audience, the flippers out there, you have heard me talk about Barter. I know Lisa Smith, our wonderful franchise owner here in the Huntsville, Alabama area, came on our show. She was my very first guest, I think, wow. Episode 16, and I've talked about barter so many times because it's such a big part of what I do. I actually am a member of Trade Bank, ITEX, and IMS. Trade Bank is my favorite. I do love the folks at IMS, but the closest my closest trading mate would be in Chattanooga, and that's where my broker's at. It still works out for me. And if you're in business out there and you're not doing barter, you owe it to yourself to look into this. This barter has made me hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's just fun. It changed my life. It was almost 30 years ago that I got involved, and it's fascinating. Everybody that knows me knows I'm one of the cheapest sons of. Any place. I literally eat off dollar menus whenever I go any place. And then last weekend, we went out for our Christmas dinner. We went to the nicest restaurant in the Huntsville area. Everybody here has heard of Nick's Ristorante, and they've been a sponsor of our podcast. So lots of folks have heard me talk about them. You can't eat at Nick's for less than, I don't know, $75, $100 a head. And my son kept saying, "Is it okay if we get this, Dad?" And I said, "Yeah, whatever you want." And it's fascinating because barter allows us to live a different lifestyle. And so if you're in the Nashville or Wichita area, definitely contact Trade Bank. You want to be part of that.
Yeah, and for those that are in other areas, and as your podcast and your fame continues to spread worldwide, they will find barter organizations in those local cities. If mm-hmm. you're in Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, the UK, then Barter Card might be a good option for them. That's 20,000 members in Australia alone.
Oh, wow.
And I know it's spread to other places around the world. Mm-hmm. But there's also some, like out in Seattle, I think it is, there's a great one called, now I just lost it, of course. I'll have to think about it, but there's a great barter company out there. There you go. That's the curiosity approach. You'll have to call me to find it out. But anyway, not associated with Trade Bank. Trade Banks is predominantly a Southeast regional boutique. I like to call it a boutique barter company. Mm-hmm. I tend to find that the regional owners and the brokers spend more time with each client than the mm-hmm. bigger guys do. that's what you say until you become the bigger guy, right? I mean, I don't know,
But
but there's definitely tons of other individual barter organizations around the country. Your big ones are your IMSs and your ITEXs, but then you got your boutique ones like Trade Bank, and then you got individual city ones, which are also good. You can normally just Google Barter Exchange in your city and read some of the reviews and stuff. I understand there's always going to be negative. You can help. What my dad used to say, you can help some of the people some of the time, but you can't help all of the people all of the time.
That's right. Yeah, and it's. I love that your story about the coffee news. When I've been in the publishing business too. I published a real estate magazine called Middleman in Chattanooga, and it just fascinated me how barter was the perfect thing. I paid for all my printing with barter. I had virtually no cash outlay, and once I sold my advertisers, pretty much every single one of those advertisers never left me. And then I just built the cash business around that. But anyway, these guys are probably saying, Randy, what the hell are you talking about? But they probably get used to that. Now, Ed, you've gotten, we've talked about the barter business, but you've got other business interests. Ed's an author. He's a podcast host. He's a cricket master. Now, one of the things I know you've got some kind of thing called IQ Digital.
IQ2, right. So IQ2 Digital, it's all things digital marketing. One of the things I tend to start businesses when my friends are getting screwed over, because I cannot stand my friends paying too much for anything. Because I'm a bit like you, Randy. I hate paying too much for anything. So when I find a good deal, I tell everybody about it. Sometimes I make a little money off it. Most of the time I don't. So I got sick and tired of my friends being screwed over. You get that call, oh, get listed on Google, like ranked #1, or you Google my business listing is not good. Well, those guys do good things. They just charge way too much for it. Why do you think they call millions of people with robocalls? Because a percentage of people buy. Okay. So I started with two friends, actually. We started IQ2 Digital. And the idea is IQ, intelligence quotient, to digital. So let's move our knowledge. We might have a lot of knowledge in a lot of things, but we may not have it in digital marketing. So use us instead. So IQ2 Digital. So these people that are being charged $650 a month for bloody Google My Business management, and we can really get them started for a couple of $100, and sometimes we can just do an overall overview and tell them what to do. We do like a $300 class one time. And we'll take trade for that. We don't care, trade or cash. And then we also do ongoing management for those that want it. We also build websites. Sales funnels is becoming a big thing, right? So especially for your car flippers, if they're not using a sales funnel to collect emails and to put promotional items out there and give them something for collecting that database and maybe promoting different cars that they have for sale, they should look at a sales funnel. They're cheap enough these days that the returns that I've been hearing that your guys have been getting, a sales funnel for a year, you've got to sell 2 cars, so it's definitely what. So social media management, reviews management are important. We all pick up our phones and say, Google, used car lot. I did it in Madison, and I found a truck in Madison back before they went up like crazy right now. July of 2020, I found one, and I was able to check out the VIN number. I saw that it had been wrecked. He was very honest about it being wrecked and rebuilt. And he said, hey, let me make a little bit of money on it. And I said, okay, well, you bought it for $2,800. I know you probably put about $7,000 into it. So you got about 8.5 into it. I said, you probably got discount on the $7,000 though for your materials. So let's call it 4. So you got about 7 into it. How about I pay you 9.5? That'll give you 2.5 if my numbers are right. He's like, how do you know what I paid for it? I said, you just search the VIN number and it'll tell if you picked it up at an auction. It's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So anyway, so I bought it, and that thing has been a beast. I jumped in it, drove it to Wichita from Madison, Tennessee and back, and then out to South Carolina and back, up to Columbus and back. And, so his reputation on his reviews was hugely important to me before I even went and visited the dealership or the little car lot. It's hidden like in the back. I would have never found it because it's like on a back lot, hidden off the main street. So anyway, so that's why I did IQ2 Digital.
Mhm. That sounds like something that really could help a lot of our folks. How do they just Google IQ2 digital? Is that?
Well, actually, the easiest way, if they want a free business analysis, we have a system set up through texting, which is another great thing that you could sign people up for too.
Mhm.
Is if you had a bunch of people that are always looking for vehicles and stuff, they could register through a VIP program, which would cost you less than $50 a month, probably, and they could text a keyword that we helped you come up with to a number, and that would enroll them in your texting program. And then whenever you got a car, you can just take a picture of it and text it out to everybody that signed up to get those notifications. So
That's a
you
good
could
idea.
imagine hundreds, and so we have, even if you only do like 50 people on your texting list, it's a no-brainer. But I've got guys that are doing hundreds and 500. I think we max out about 1,000 texts a month at the main level.
Mhm.
But anyway, so for them to get a free business analysis, they can text the letters IQ and the number 2.
Mhm.
Okay, so if they just put in those 3 digits, IQ2 to 71441, if they just send a text, we'll give them a free business analysis, and look at their Google listing, look at everything that they're doing or not doing. There's no obligation, no charge. It was all about me being sick and tired of my friends being screwed over and being charged too much. Obviously, you need to make a profit to stay in business, but you don't need to screw people over. And so we really like the way that we are taking that to the next level and competing with these guys.
I like that, Ed. Now as you probably know, our listeners are a combination of experienced car dealers and all the way back to something we call curb stoners who are flipping cars and possibly even doing something that may be illegal and doing open titles, and we're trying to educate everybody about how
We
to
don't
do
want to do
things
that.
the right way, and we're all trying to work in the same direction. So I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm here to help. And one of the things I do part time, I work for the Alabama Independent Auto Dealers Association. I think they call me a marketing consultant, and basically what that gives me a chance to call and talk to our members. We've got over 800 dealer members here in the state of Alabama. And as I'm making those phone calls, I'm looking at their representation on the website. And the first thing I'm looking for is, how are they represented? Do they have a website? Do they have
Right.
a Google My Business page? I think that's what that's called. And a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't.
80%, actually 80% of US businesses haven't claimed their Google My Business listing.
Mhm.
But the majority of us search via Google these days.
Sure, sure. I know I do.
So yeah,
And so I try to update that for them while I'm doing it, just kind of a service of the association, just to make sure they're represented as well as they can be. All I do is bring that into the information on the association site. And one of the big things that people are that we're dealing with, no matter where we're at on that food chain of car flippers, is we can't find the inventory. We cannot. I was at the car auction this morning, like I go every Tuesday morning, and when I come away empty, I make that note on my clipboard that I keep everything on. I have a physical clipboard that I carry around like some kind of old dude from the 1950s, and I know I've been writing that into that box so often empty, because it's just hard to buy. I mean, you can always buy things if you're willing to pay for them, but it's just a very difficult time. So what Ed's talking about can help you on the sales side, like he's talked about, but it also, I'm sure there's a way that you can work this to help you on the buy side, so that this tool is giving you a better set of eyes to find the products that you want. And I've given a lot of old school ideas. I mean, I literally walk the streets, use post-it notes on people's cars, my business cards. I have a website called randybuyscars.com. We use that old school stuff, but Ed's ideas here are something that's going to help you use the modern technology, so that you don't have to get out and walk up and down streets like yours truly does. But I do it for exercise too, so
right. Well, one of the great things we like to use with our texting program is they could sign up, and if they spot a vehicle for you,
Mhm.
it's really easy to get them a $10 Starbucks gift card or something.
Yeah,
You're on Barter, then you can get some great restaurant gift cards,
exactly.
right? And then you can say, hey, sign up for our free and opportunity to win if you spot us a car deal that makes sense and we close the deal. Either we're paying a cash referral, or we'll give you this discount, or we'll give you this card, or so you can use texting for that way too. Email, MailChimp. If you're not using email marketing, MailChimp allows you to have 2,000 registrants, contacts for free. Constant Contact. There's a few of them out there. The other thing that I've been really working is my card system. I talked a little bit about to you, Randy. So one of the things, I sent out a postcard like this the other day. For those of you that are listening on the podcast, it's just a postcard that's covered in cheese balls, right? Those cheese puffy things that you like to eat, like Cheetos, but not long. And so it says on the back, I put, "We send the cheesiest cards." The other one I like to do is I have a series of postcards that I use. And on the back, we just put, my wife and I put our picture, and then we say, "This is just a gift for you." And it says, "Thank you for being you. We appreciate you." And on the front, it'll have a quote. So this quote today is, "No one is perfect. That's why pencils have erasers." And we've set that up on an automated system. We sign up somebody on that, and we send out 13 different postcards throughout the year. These are one of my quotes. Failures are common, not a period. And so the people get these one a month. So imagine using a card system like this to keep in touch with your frequent shoppers or your frequent referral people. I have an affiliate business through Mailbox Power. And the thing I love about Mailbox Power is that it allows me to send unlimited postcards for just the cost of postage. So what that means for me is that I can really reach out, but I know what my budget is going to be. And so my affiliate link is mailboxpower.com/Ed Fox.
Okay.
If you don't think I've earned the affiliate link, just go to mailboxpower.com. But you're going to pay the same price either way. So why not kick me back something?
Exactly.
So mailboxpower.com/Ed Fox. So I pay $49 a month, and I get to send 50 business cards, 50 real greeting cards. They're as good as anything we buy at Kroger or Publix or whatever. I like this one. It says, I send it to people I meet for the first time. It says, "One universe, 8 planets, 195 countries, 18,000 islands, 7 seas, 7.8 billion people, and I had the pleasure of meeting you." Right? And so then I just put a good day. I put my link to TikTok. I put a dad joke in there. And then I say something like, "It's awesome to meet you, and I look forward to following your success, cheering you on, growing up." It could say whatever. But then the cool thing is on the back, they have my contact details. But it doesn't feel like one of those insurance cards where you get the business card in a birthday card that he had his secretary write. It doesn't feel like that. This feels like the legit deal. So
no, that's really good. It's a little old school, but I like old school.
Well, especially when you can do it for, when I can send 1,000 postcards out and I'm only paying postage. So for $49 a month with 50 cards, like I got this from a friend a couple of years ago. That's how I got onto this. She put my picture on the front and says, "It was so wonderful to meet you and hear your story." And so this is 4 years old. I've never thrown it away, right? You're not going to throw away. So you just go to their Facebook, pick a picture, and
well, that's what I saw with the postcards. I was thinking those are things I would keep.
Right. Exactly. And so that's why I did these quote postcards, because the first time I sent one of these out, I just sent one out, and I walked into the guy's office and he had it pinned up on his wall.
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So for the money, for $49 a month, I can send 50 main greeting cards, and they could be business, they could be personal, they could be whatever. And then I can send unlimited postcards. Well, I can't go into Kroger and buy 10 gift cards for $50 these days. Not to mention, I don't want to deal with the parking. I don't want to deal with the people, So Mailbox Power allows me to do all this stuff at night. It allows me to set up an automation. So, what I'm able to do is if I've got a card where I always use for, say, meeting people with your car guys at auctions or whatever, they could set up an automation where it just, all they do is put in the contact information, get their address, and it automatically changes out the first name. and all the rest of the text stays the same. So it cuts down on a lot of work.
Hmm. I'll tell you what, Ed, is one thing I'm realizing here is I'm going to have to actually go back and listen to my podcast and write down all the things you're saying. And I'm going to have to start working harder. This is all really good stuff, and I hope everybody that's listening is making notes. And I'll try to take some of these notes and put them in the show notes on the our website and in wherever you're listening to the podcast, and on our you want to watch this one on the YouTube channel, because Ed's got all this stuff in the background. This cat knows how to operate, and he's got a Santa Claus hat on top of his Crocodile Dundee hat, and he's got a American flag shirt on. I mean,
hey, look, Randy, Australian by birth, American by choice, mate. That's But I'm open. I love talking business, right? I love talking any business. I started my first business at age 15, left school as a 9th grade dropout, built it to a $500,000 business within 3 years. In 1983 to actually 5 years, 1988, we sold it. Mum and dad came in after the first year because they said I was killing myself. So if you guys want to talk business, we'll have my phone number and contact details. I love talking to everybody about everything because I always learn so much, right? You learn so much from different people's perspectives. And that's what I've loved about your show. When I first started, Lisa said, oh, listen to Randy's Flipping Genius. And I said, well, what's it about? He said, flipping cars. I'm like, eh. So I listened to the first one. I was like hooked, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll listen to that. My wife's like, we're not going to flip cars, are we? I said, no, but he has got great guests that teach. I mean, I'm getting stuff for the trade bank business. I'm getting stuff for the marketing business. So I really appreciate you having me on. I really appreciate the diversity of guests that you've had on the show too.
Now, Ed's what's you've got more than one podcast now, right? I'm
running 3 podcasts. I'm running 7 YouTube channels, 17 Facebook pages, and 1 TikTok. I want to make another TikTok for business, but I'm trying to figure out how I can find the time because I can't find the time. So I do a networking education YouTube channel, which I've got 2 seasons up there of different topics about how to do effective networking because I never knew. Then I've got the Bada Bing, Bada Boom. It's just that easy. You've been a guest on our Bada Bing, Bada Boom podcast. Then I've got a friend out in New York that I met last year on a mastermind group on Zoom. Him and I do a wake-up call with Ed and Paul, which is talking about business success and failures. And we're on all the major podcast platforms, YouTube and Facebook. I just record them here on Zoom and then throw them up on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube as well.
Man, so is there one place that they can go to find all of all these things you're doing?
No, but I'm building it.
Okay.
Well, so right now, the best way is to go to my LinkedIn profile. It's linkedin.com/in/AussieFox, and that's AUSSIEFOX.
Okay.
But I'll definitely send you an email with all my contact details that you can put in the show notes. And if anybody wants my phone number, it's 316-200-4135. Again, 316-200-4135.
There you go. Well, I tell you, Ed can help you with a lot of things, and I've enjoyed listening to your Barter podcast. Not just because I was on it. That always helps me because I got a huge ego. But if you are out there and you're still thinking maybe I don't really understand what Barter is about, that's a really good place to look. And of course, I think that we've talked there's another one called that I've recommended to everybody called Profit Through Barter. As a buddy of mine down in Florida who I can't think of his name right now. And he's only done a few episodes because he's so busy out having a good time, literally all around the world. This guy travels on Barter, and that's a lot of fun too. And Ed has so much more to offer, as you've heard. One thing I want to ask you about too is, you said you didn't want to get into flipping cars, but I got a hunch that you've done some flipping because people don't wind up where you're at without doing it.
The funnest flip I ever did, the funnest flip was on postage stamps. I had this guy that he had a mailing business, and he had a client that was going to New Zealand skiing. And the guy wanted to have a bunch of already done postcards and gift cards and stuff that he could actually mail from New Zealand. And this guy didn't know how to get stamps from New Zealand. This is 96, maybe 97. And I said, so he calls me up. He says, "Oh, you're from Australia, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Can you get me postage stamps from New Zealand?" I don't know. He's like, "Look, I'll give you $500 to make it worth your while if you do that." Okay, let me see. So I go to newzealandpost.com, which had a website, 1996, pretty front, forward-thinking postal service. And I said, "Hey, can I buy, what do you want, 1,000 stamps? Can I buy 1,000 stamps? What would it cost me to mail a postcard from New Zealand to America?" And they said, "Oh, it's this much." "Yeah, and we'll just mail you the stamps if that's okay." And I said, "Okay, well, what's shipping?" So all in, I told the guy, "Hey, look, all in, I can get those mailed to you in a week for X number of dollars." He said, "Okay, and then I'll add 500 for you if you can put it on your credit card." So is that a flip? I don't know.
Exactly.
I think I flipped him.
I tell you, last night, I'm a songwriter, and a couple buddies of mine that are also songwriters who went out and did Christmas caroling last night. We two of us wore the old water buffalo hats like you saw Fred Flintstone wear.
Fred Flintstone, yeah.
And, my one friend wore a wig like that crazy painter that used to be on TV. Bob Ross.
Bob Ross.
So he had the big curly hair wig, and anyway, that had nothing to do with it. We were riding in a really nice golf cart that my friend Tori, his deal is he's always got to have two. He won't flip one until he has a second one, because his wife says we need a golf cart to get around the neighborhood in. And so we're riding in this, and I don't know about golf carts, but I know Tori makes a lot of money flipping golf carts. It's just a little side thing he does. While we were riding, I was holding his guitar, which he had a pretty nice. I think it was a Taylor guitar that I was holding, and I know that Tori also makes a ton of money flipping guitars. This is all flipping. Cars are what we talk about here, but it's all universal. If I look over there, I got 18 guitars over there. So I tend to do some flipping of different things as well. So it's all something that
my wife just whispered like through the door, like trying not to be heard, but she said, "Dude, you flip all the time." I'm like, she goes, "Remember?" I worked for Sears in the 90s, right? I worked for Sears, and I would buy all their clearance camcorders, because after Christmas, everybody would return their camcorders. So I would buy like 7 of the same camcorder and put it in the penny power thrifty nickel kind of thing that went out every week before the internet. And I would list one, and I'd make about $200 on it, but I'd have 7 of them.
Right.
And so people would call up, you got that one? "Oh yeah, I've still got it. Like, I've got 3 people interested, but I still got it." So she just reminded me, I flipped a ton of stuff I made more money flipping stuff I bought at Sears on clearance. I didn't sell it as new. I said it's an open box. And I made more money doing that than actually working at Sears. So I kept my job there for 4 years, just working part-time, just so I could get the deals. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah. Well, I knew without even asking for sure that you had done a lot of flipping, and I mean, because it's just it has to be in your mind. And I wanted to bring that up, folks, because Ed knows our business, even though he's not mired in the depth of our business. So when you're talking to Ed Fox, you're talking to a brother flipper who understands what we're trying to do, and he can help you. So I encourage you to contact him. You're going to see all of his contact information in the show notes that are available wherever you're listening to the podcast, or if you're watching the video, you'll see him down there. And he's going to help you make money, and that's the number one goal of the Flippin' Genius podcast, is to help our listeners make more money. And I feel pretty good about having you on here, Ed. This is a good deal, and I hope it makes you a couple bucks. Yeah.
I have fun, and I love sharing business stories, and I'll spend time talking business stories all the time. We're not going to go on our deathbed going, "Oh, I wish I'd made another $100,000. We're going, "Oh, I wish I had more time with family. I wish I had more time with friends." And so we have to have balance, and that's taken me a lot of years to figure out, Randy, is because I love working. This ain't work, I love doing this stuff, but you got to understand that you got to have some balance. So my wife said she'll lean over my shoulder sometimes when I'm talking to somebody, and she'll say, "Now look, listening to Edward's like drinking from a fire hose. You have to tell him when you're starting to drown." Because I've got all these years of experience and all these stories from other people, and we can adapt that to fit different industries, right? That's what I love about your podcast is I get to listen to it, and I'm like, well, how can I make that fit Barter? How can I make that fit building websites? How can I make that fit selling card services? You know, how can I make it fit? And so I think sometimes we get so closed up in our box and we don't want to look outside the box, but that is key to growing our business and being at the forefront and being ahead of the game, educating. You know, my dad always said there's 5 things that will make us who we are. He says the people you associate with, the books you read, and, you know, the tapes you listen to. So he's going back a bit, right? The events you attend, if you attend seminars, and the actions you take. You know, I'd always heard the first 4 and never the actions you take, but you got to have action with this other stuff.
Absolutely. And I've run into situations where, you know, the old thing, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I'm in a situation right now with a young businessman that I'm trying to help, and we put everything there. You got to take that action. And I've seen it in our, we've got a group we call it the Flipping Forum. It's a Facebook group coming up on, I think, 500 members on that group.
Oh, cool.
We've got 20 car flipping groups, flipping genius groups on Facebook. I think 20 or 22 of them around the country where you can sell your vehicles on there. And these are all designed to help our listeners make money using the same tools that I use here in Alabama. Our group here in North Alabama, between the two groups, we have about 36,000 members, and you know, that are buying and selling cars. They're not all car flippers; they're just selling their own cars. And I kind of like to be in the middle of all that.
Right.
And so it's exciting to have you on here, because I know you are a doer, and this is fun to encourage people to think that way. You know, you're going to make a mistake, but like you said, what do you say? That's a comma, not a period.
Right. Yeah. Failure is a comma. It's just a pause, right? You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, you start all over again. Guys, something worth doing is worth doing poorly until we can learn to do it well. Unless, of course, it's tax. If you're an accountant, you probably want to get your education, or if you're a surgeon, you know, but they do say it's a practice, you know, they're still practicing. So something worth doing is worth doing poorly until we can learn to do it well. If it's not going to kill somebody, if it's not going to maim somebody, then, you know, you don't have to be great at it.
That's right.
You can get better. Public speaking. I sucked at public speaking. Now you can't shut me up.
Well, that's a good tip. And I think we've shared a lot of good stuff. We're a couple smart cats. Hey, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. I know you got other stuff to do, so I'm going to let you get going. I'm going to tell everybody, hey, let's work together. Let's make some money. Let's all become flipping geniuses.